So I received a comment the other day on my YouTube channel that, in translation, basically said, enough, shut up already. We don't want to hear anything more about the narcissist. You knew what you were doing or getting into. And I'd rather you just talk about the scriptures and talk about God instead of talking about the narcissist. I'm Coach Hadassah, metaphysician, minister, emotional health and wellness coach, helping you to navigate this healing space from narcissistic abuse. So, with that being said, I'm going to read a chapter from the Bible, the Holy Name Bible, all right, that contains the holy names Yahweh Elohim Yahshua from the Scripture Research Association. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3. This also know, in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of Yahweh or God, having a form of the worship of Yahweh, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. I'm going to stop right there. Everything that I just read that Paul wrote to his spiritual son Timothy is behaviors of narcissists. And we're not just talking about, because there's narcissist and there's narcissistic personality disorder. Okay? Because everyone from about like your teenage years, let's say possibly starting as early as 14, but usually see it a lot from 16 to maybe about 23, 24, maybe between 23, 24. You'll see people growing out of it because they get to a point where it's like, it's not just about me, it's about other people as well. So we all go through that stage of life when we're dealing with narcissistic behaviors. But it becomes a personality disorder when you are stuck on you and you only, and using other people for your own purpose and your own gain, and not thinking about your fellow man, whether that's your neighbor, when I say brother, I'm talking about like brotherly love, okay? Um, Parents, your spouse or significant other, your children even. We're talking about narcissistic personality disorder, not just what we call narcissism, which would be, maybe uh, somebody that may be a little arrogant, or they may be conceited, or what's considered to be conceited, or haughty. You can have those behaviors, but not necessarily have narcissistic personality disorder. It is a personality disorder. That's the clinical terms. Clinical. I am not a clinical psychologist. I'm not a licensed clinical psychologist. However, I study psychology. I am a minister. It behooves all of us to have studied psychology, because when you're dealing with psychology, we are all dealing with the souls or minds of people. Our psyche or our soul, our emotions, our will, or because soul, mind, and psyche is synonymous. So the soul is comprised of the psyche or mind, our will, and our emotions. And when it is disordered, it means that it's not in order. What would deem it to be in order or in order? Well, there's a standard, and that standard is not my standard. That standard is not anyone else's standard. It is the standard of the Most High Creator. Since we are talking about, or as the person that commented, hey, just get back to talking about God. God is the one that had the problem with the behavior of the people that was not operating at his standard. This is why the laws, the universal spirit laws or the commandments were put in place, because people were just doing whatever they willed, doing whatever they willed to do, which the Creator deemed to be wicked in his eyes. So the 10 commandments, which was really like 613 of them, but the 10 commandments were basically boundaries, laws that said, if you're doing these things, you're crossing the boundaries and there's a consequence. And if you've ever experienced someone who has narcissistic personality disorder and you compare it with the behaviors of those that were throughout the scriptures, and especially what Paul just talked about here, you would see the sign of this is the time that we're in right now. And it's not just about a few people here and there. It is a mental health epidemic because we're seeing more and more of it. And more people are speaking out. Because who better to speak out about it than people who are experiencing it? And if you haven't experienced it, count yourself blessed. So we will continue with this chapter of Paul giving a warning or the sign that you would see. So he said, with these behaviors, turn away from people like that. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins. You have to understand what that means. Led away with various lusts, ever learning, and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now, as Janus and Jambres withstood Moses, now he's giving an example of, look, Janus and Jambres with Moses. So that's way, way back from the time that he was in. He says, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith, but they shall proceed no further. For their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs was also, meaning it would be exposed. This is exposure time. But you have fully known my doctrine, my manner of life, purpose, faith, long suffering, love, patience, persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch. What persecutions I endured, but out of them all, Yahweh delivered me. It is truth that exposes, and it is truth that also delivers people who are experiencing this type of abuse. So again, count yourself blessed if you have not experienced it, but do not try to silence those who are bringing awareness.